So chronic lymphocytic lymphoma, so CLL, it is also called small lymphocytic lymphoma or SLL. So CLL or SLL it is called when lymph nodes are involved. So age is 6 or 7 decades. So remember 5, 6, 7, okay. 5 for 5000 per mm cube. So greater than that, it is the diagnostic criteria. Absolute lymphocytosis greater than 5000 per mm cube. Next, 6th and 7th decade, it is common. Okay, so 6th and 7th decade, so that is why it is the most common type of chronic leukemia in the elderly. So clinically, there is lymphadenopathy because obviously lymphadenopathy, and along with that, you have liver increases and spleen increases, so hepatosplenomegaly, and also elderly people they want to drink tea or coffee or warm drinks, so warm antibody type autoimmune hemolytic anemia. So warm AB HIA, IHA, and liver, spleen, and lymphadenopathy. Next, cytogenetic is, remember this, 13q 11 13 17, so 11 and 13 q deletion and 17 p deletion. Next, CBC, basically hemoglobin and platelet is normal, but TLC, because of lymphocytosis, it increases. Peripheral smear, basically you can see increased number of small lymphocytes, as the name indicates, small lymphocyte small cell lymphoma. So next you have convent girl repetition appearance, and also because of decreased vimentin, which is a cytoskeletal protein, the lymphocytic cytoplasm, it becomes fragile, and the cells appear like smudge cells or basket cells or parachute cells. Next, bone marrow aspirate, obviously you can see increased lymphocytes, and lymph node biopsy, you can see that lymph node architecture is replaced by large number of small lymphocytes with inconspicuous nuclei. In between these small cells, you have activated lymphoid cells. So by flow cytometry, you can detect that CD19 and 20 positivity is there, and CD5 and 23 helps to differentiate CLL from mantle cell lymphoma. So flow cytometry 1920, 5 and 23 helps to differentiate CLL from mantle cell lymphoma. So Ryan-Binet staging system is used. So CLL can transform into diffuse large B cell lymphoma and also PLL, pro-lymphocytic leukemia. So here this is Richter syndrome. Next, prognostic markers, again increased serum levels of beta-2 microglobulin, CD23 and LDH, poor prognosis. Notch1 mutation, poor prognosis. 11q 17p deletion, other ones poor prognosis, and ZAP70 poor prognosis. Hairy cell leukemia, it is a B cell disorder characterized by hairy cells or hair-like projections which are best seen under phase contrast microscope. So clinically, you can see massive splenomegaly. Due to that, there is hyperactivity of spleen, so pancytopenia, and because of that, there is increased risk of atypical mycobacterial infections. So pathogenesis, 90% of patients have BRAF V600E mutation. That means at 600 position, V, that is valine, is replaced by E, which is glutamate or glutamic acid. So conditions with BRAF V600E mutations, you have 4 conditions: HCL, which is hairy cell leukemia, Langerhans cell histiocytosis, papillary carcinoma thyroid, and pilocytic astrocytoma. Okay. Next, so you can remember it as HCL. So HCL for H and L, Langerhans cell, and next PP. Next, lab diagnosis, obviously CBC, you can see decrease of hemoglobin, decrease of TLC, decrease of platelets, all because of hypersplenism. Next, peripheral smear, you can see hairy cells and Rolio formation. Bone marrow aspirate, it is a dry tap, and on biopsy you can see honeycomb or fried egg appearance, which is also seen in oligodendroglioma. Special strains, you can trap the HCL, remember like that, so tartrate resistant acid phosphate. And markers, you can remember CD25 and CD11C, okay, 11 and 25. And most specific marker is annexin A1. Annexin 5, it is for apoptotic cells. So polycythemia vera, the WHO diagnostic criteria is major and minor criteria. Minor criteria is obviously decreased serum erythropoietin. Major criteria, obviously hemoglobin greater than 16.5 or 16 in men and women. Then presence of JAK2 V617F mutations, so JAK2 mutations, and pan-mylosis, because it is a myeloproliferative disorder. So presence of all 3 major or 2 major plus 1 minor, it is diagnostic of PCV. So clinical presentation, obviously, so increased HP or RBC, it leads to stasis. So there is thrombosis or neurological abnormalities. Then again increased platelets, so bleeding tendencies, increased TLC. So because of that, there is intense itching after a hot water bath, flushing, and pruritus. Next, so we have secondary polycythemia. It is because of high altitude or COPD, increased erythropoietin production, smoking, etc. And the treatment is phlebotomy. So polycythemia, it is characterized by increase in the RBC mass. So we have the pathophysiological classification. So primary polycythemia is because of low erythropoietin level. It is polycythemia vera, bone marrow destroying tumors because of any radiation. Next, secondary, we have high erythropoietin levels. So physiologically appropriate, we have compensatory lung disease, high altitude, and cyanotic heart disease. physiologically inappropriate, we have paraneoplastic syndrome such as erythropoietin secretory tumors with RCC. Next, relatively, we have reduced plasma volume as in hemoconcentration and Geisbach syndrome, which is spurious polycythemia. So it is defined as an acquired myeloproliferative neoplasm arising from malignant transformation of HSC, hematopoietic stem cell. It is characterized by tri-lineage hyperplasia, so erythroid, granulocytic and megakaryocytic hyperplasia in the bone marrow. It leads to uncontrolled production of RBCs, granulocytes and platelets, and erythrocytosis or granulocytosis and thrombosis. Next, molecular pathogenesis. So JAK2 mutations are there. So JAK2 then activates a signaling pathway causing cells to replicate. So JAK2 V617F is the mutation seen. So it causes proliferation of not only erythroid lineage but also granulocytic and megakaryocytic lineage. So it is insidious, late middle age. So you see cyanosis, you see thrombosis. So you see cyanosis, headache, dizziness, and etc. And you see thrombosis, so DVT, and myocardial infarction, Budd-Chiari syndrome, etc. So phases, you see proliferative phase. So there is erythroid proliferation and increased red cell mass. Spent phase, so 10% of people. Excessive proliferation of erythroid cells ceases with and myelofibrosis in about 10% of patients. So here you can see JAK mutations, erythropoietin, JAK2 signaling pathway. Okay. Next, lab findings. So hemoglobin is increased, hematocrit is increased, red cell count is increased, white cell count is increased, normal or increased, and platelet count is normal or increased. Next, peripheral smear, RBC is normocytic normochromic picture, no anemia because everything is increased. WBC you can see leukocytosis and TLC, and lab score is increased, and basophils are often also increased in polycythemia. Neutrophils are normal. Platelets, you can see abnormally large and functionally defective platelets. Bone marrow, you can see hypercellular bone marrow due to hyperplasia of all elements. Bone marrow biopsy, you can see increased reticulin fibers with silver stain. And other findings, you can see extramedullary hematopoiesis and liver spleen causes hepatosplenomegaly. Next, you also have arterial oxygen saturation. It is normal, so it differentiates it from secondary polycythemia, wherein the erythropoietin is high. Then erythropoietin levels are decreased in primary, whereas they are increased in secondary polycythemia. That's a basic classification categorization. And then you have serum B12 and uric acid, they are increased, and JAK mutations, they can be demonstrated. Essential thrombocytosis, so we have the WHO diagnostic criteria with major and minor criteria. So minor is absolutely absence of evidence of reactive thrombocytosis, okay? And major criteria in ET and myelofibrosis, you have the major criteria. One of them is exclusion of other myeloproliferative neoplasms. Other than that, you have sustained increased platelets, so thrombocytosis, increased platelet greater than 4.5 lakhs per ml. Next, presence of JAK mutations, cal reticulin, MPL mutations, bone marrow biopsy findings showing proliferation of megakaryocytes. All 4 major or 3+1, it is diagnostic. So clinical presentation, you need to remember erythromelalgia. So there is an increased platelet count which clogs the small arteries of hands and feet. It causes throbbing pain in the digits. There is paresthesia and TIA, transient ischemic attack. So essential thrombocythemia is defined as a chronic myeloproliferative neoplasm primarily of megakaryocytic lineage. So it is mostly due to JAK2 mutations and thrombopoietin independent proliferation of megakaryocytes. So again we can see thrombosis and hemorrhage and erythromelalgia. So lab findings, we can see normocytic normochromic picture as in polycythemia. WBCs, there is mild leukocytosis, okay, and then platelets, you have an increased number, but whereas platelet number was normal or increase in polycythemia. Here mild leukocytosis and increased number, and variation in shape and size, you can see abnormally large platelets. Bone marrow cellularity is hypercellular, you can see normal or mild erythropoiesis, normal or mild myelopoiesis, and markedly increased number of megakaryopoiesis with abnormally large megakaryocytes. And you can also see extramedullary hematopoiesis with mild hepatosplenomegaly. So again, for myelofibrosis, you have diagnostic criteria, major criteria. First, you exclude other myeloproliferative neoplasms and presence of JAK2 mutations, so V617F and MPL and calreticulin, and also atypical megakaryocytic hyperplasia. This is important. Atypical megakaryocytic hyperplasia, because in the pathogenesis you have megakaryocytic hyperplasia. Because of that, platelet derived growth factor increases and that causes bone marrow fibrosis. Okay, myelofibrosis. Next, minor criteria, you can remember it as myelofibrosis, LAS, LAS, LLAS. So LDH decreases, leukoerythroblastic blood picture, and A for anemia and S for splenomegaly. So presence of all 3 major or 2 major plus 1 minor criteria is diagnostic, and clinical presentation you can see massive splenomegaly. And lab diagnosis, so hemoglobin and TLC decreases, pancytopenia because of fibrosis, platelet count, and peripheral smear. Basically, RBCs go through change in shape. So you can see teardrop cells as the bone marrow gets fibrous, and leukoerythroblastic blood picture. and you can also see immature red cells and white cell precursors in the peripheral blood. So leukoerythroblastic blood picture is seen in myelofibrosis and space-occupying lesions of bone marrow such as granulomas or metastatic cancers instead of fibrosis in the bone marrow. Bone marrow aspiration, because of fibrosis you get a dry tap, and biopsy you can see increase in fibrosis, and reticulin stain you can see silver, and abnormal megakaryocytes, obviously you have a cloud-like appearance, and bone marrow biopsy you can see fibrosis and abnormal megakaryocytes. Primary myelofibrosis, it is clonal myeloproliferative neoplasm characterized by proliferation of predominantly megakaryocytes and granulocytes. So fully developed disease results in reactive marrow fibrosis. So molecular pathogens is again JAK2 mutations. So lab findings, you can see RBCs, so normocytic normochromic anemia because of fibrosis in the marrow, and it is accompanied by leukoerythroblastosis. Teardrop shaped cells can be seen. WBCs are usually normal or reduced because of fibrosis, but markedly elevated in early stages of the disease. Platelets, they may be abnormally large. The count is normal or elevated, but as the disease progresses, it decreases. So WBCs and platelets, they are normal or elevated, but usually they reduce with the disease progression. Bone marrow, you can see hypercellularity in early stages. In later stages, it is replaced by fibrosis and it results in a dry tap. Morphologically normal erythroid and granulocytic precursors can be seen, and megakaryocytes are large, dysplastic, and abnormally clustered. So you can see two stages in bone marrow biopsy. So pre-fibrotic stage, so you can see hypercellular bone marrow, megakaryocytes are increased and abnormal. Fibrotic stage, so you have leukoerythroblastosis, and fibrosis distorts the marrow and prematurely releases nucleated erythroid and early granulocyte progenitors. So reticulin stain demonstrates the increase in reticulin fibers or fibrosis, and extramedullary hematopoiesis in spleen and liver produces hepatosplenomegaly.